Making an all ivory or white card with just a small splash of color really draws your eye to the focal image. Today on Stamp TV, I'm going to show you an elegant thank you card that can be used any time of the year. This card features the new You're My Favorite mini stamp set from the new Grateful Heart Stamp TV kit. Let me show you the tools and products you're going to need to make this card project. First, you're going to need some of the different stamps from the new You're My Favorite mini stamp set. And I'm going to use all 3 flowers along with the So Many Reasons to Be Thankful greeting. Then you're going to need some ink, and I'm using several of the Gina K Designs inks, including Faded Brick, Prickly Pear, Craft, and Black Onyx. You're also going to need a sponge dauber. And although this sponge dauber looks like it's covered with some sort of red ink, it's actually clean and ready to use on any color ink and cardstock that I want. So when you get these at home, just understand that they will get a little bit stained from some of the more vibrant ink colors, but with a little soap and water and then just letting them dry overnight, they'll be clean and ready to use without transferring any of the wrong color to your project. You're also going to need a Cuttlebug folder, and I'm using the Cuttlebug Swiss Dot folder, which you guys know is one of my favorites. I'm also going to use some dies. Of course, you can use your electronic cutter to cut out different shapes, or you can use punches for this instead. I am using the standard oval die by Spellbinders along with the scalloped oval. I'm sorry, this is the lacy oval. It is scalloped, but the die set is called lacy ovals. And then 2 of the standard circles dies for my greeting. I have some 1/4-inch pop dots here that I'm going to use, and we're also going to need some cardstock. So I have some of the Gina K Designs ivory cardstock. If you prefer, you can use white instead. The ivory comes in the kit. And I'm also going to use some of the faded brick. Now the ribbon that I'm going to use also comes in the new Stamp TV kit. This ribbon coordinates beautifully with the faded brick, but this is a sneak peek of something that's coming in our next color release. This is a brand new color to Gina K Designs. This is called Merlot, and we have a cardstock and an ink coming along with some buttons in the near future. And that looks great with the faded brick. You can get the Merlot ribbon right now because we thought it looked so pretty with the faded brick. We decided to release it early. So to begin, we're going to start by creating a bouquet of flowers on a piece of ivory cardstock. And I'm going to start with the faded brick ink and this dandelion flower. Now, I'm going to stamp this right in the center of this piece of cardstock because I'm going to cut this one out with a die, and I need to make sure that the die will clear all around it. So I'll start with this image. This will go right about there. So there is my pretty dandelion flower done in faded brick. Then I'm going to use some of the prickly pear, and I'm going to stamp the prickly pear using this particular floral image. And since it's harder to see in the rubber, it is this one right here. So this one is going to cross over that dandelion. Get that all inked up. So this one is going to be stamped just about here, like that. You can see how nice that looks together. And then I have one more flower I want to stamp, and that one I'm going to stamp in the new Craft ink. I love this Craft ink. It's such a nice ink, not only for stamping in color, but for doing a lot of sponging and shading. It's just the perfect color. I'm going to stamp that one a little bit lower, but in that same area. So we'll go right about here, like that. And now I'm going to cut that out using a Spellbinders die. So we're going to use an A and a B plate. And we're going to use that oval die, the standard one. So we'll position that into place there. Make sure we get the entire bouquet. And you can shift it any way you want. And the C plate will go on top. Cut that out. Then I'm going to flip that over. This did fall out of the die, but that's okay. You can place it back in. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to use the rubber mat on top, along with another B plate and a piece of chipboard. And that's going to be ready for a little bit of sponging. So I want to keep that inside that die, and I'm just going to put that aside here. Now we want to complete a greeting, so I'm going to grab another piece of white, and then we'll finish our cutting out. I'm going to stamp the greeting using some of the black onyx ink, and I want to make sure that a circle die is going to clear that, so I'll stamp that up just a little bit on this piece of cardstock. So many reasons to be thankful. You can see that in there. And then that one is going to get cut out with a circle die. So again, I'll be back with that A and B plate. And I'm going to put the greeting in there along with this small circle die. And the C plate will go on top. This one I'm going to emboss as well. Kind of helps when you emboss it if you want to do some sponging. Kind of keeps it in place a little bit better. So I will turn that over and put my rubber mat down along with another B plate and that piece of chipboard. And then both of these pieces, once I sponge them, are going to be mounted onto some faded brick. So these two pieces will stay off to the side there. And then I'm going to grab a piece of faded brick, and I'm going to put one of the pieces there. Let's see if I can fit this one on there. Yes, I can. That and a C plate. And that is going to be my circle piece, and here is going to be my lacy oval piece. And these little pieces sometimes get stuck in there, but they pop right out, so you can either pull them out with your fingers like I'm doing, or you can use a craft pick or some other tool to pop those out easily. Sometimes there might be one that's just a little bit stuck more than the others, but there we go. So now there is my lacy oval. Now we want to use the Swiss Dot Cuttlebug folder to create a textured background. So I'm going to do that using an A and a B plate. Get that into place here. And then I have the Swiss Dot Cuttlebug folder and a piece of ivory cardstock. And I'm going to position that exactly where I want it. And boy, I don't know about you, but when I work with dots, I have to have them straight or it drives me nuts. So it always takes me an extra second or two to make sure that it's going into the Cuttlebug folder straight so the dots are straight. And that looks pretty good. So I've got the B plate and A plate there, and now I'm going to put another B plate on top and run that through the machine. And that will give me my dotted background there. And you can see it's nice and straight. Just take an extra second or two to make sure that those are straight, and it won't drive you nuts like it would drive me nuts if it wasn't. Okay, now I'm going to adhere these two pieces together. I've got the faded brick cut just a little bit bigger. And that is going to go right on top, like that. move that over just a hair. It's a little bit difficult if you're not standing up to line these pieces up together. It's just so much easier if you have a bird's eye view than when you're trying to hold it. So there we go. That's a lot straighter. Now let's do the sponging on these two pieces. We're going to do that with the craft ink. And I love using the craft ink for this. It's just a perfect ink for shading. So I'm going to grab a little bit of that ink onto my sponge dauber, and then working around the perimeter, I'm just going to add that little bit of color coming in. You can see how nice that looks. Just a little touch of color. And I'm going to do the same thing. Let me pull that out. You can see how that looks. And I'm going to do the same thing for the circle. Just a little bit of color, same color, coming in all around. And these sponges really absorb the color, so you really don't need to reload it once you've done the first one. And there is the greeting. So my greeting will adhere to this. This is the faded brick circle that I cut out earlier. And my focal image will be adhered to this, which is the faded brick lacy oval that I cut out earlier. There we go. Now before I adhere this to my card base, I'm going to add that little bit of Merlot ribbon. Put that up just a little higher, right about there, looks good. That little splash of vibrant burgundy in there will look so pretty. And my layout will be this panel on top of my card base, and then these two along with this. And let me show you, I already adhered all that together so you don't have to watch me tape it. Here is my finished card project. Let's just back out a little. There you go. And you can see that I've just stuck those all together using some adhesive, and I adhered both my my focal image was adhered just with adhesive onto that Swiss dot background. And then my greeting, I used the 1/4 inch pop dots just to give it a little lift so that it would clear all of those layers. And it gives the card a little bit more dimension when you add one element popped up, raised up just a little bit from the rest of the card. Try changing the accent color to a rich navy, a pine green, or a chocolate brown for variations of this simple layout.